Good afternoon, it's Monday. Welcome to Saba's Way of Life. Today I've been out buying lots of little flowers for hanging baskets. Yesterday I did a little bit of research. I don't know how to make hanging baskets. I've made them once before. That was about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it was okay. But I really want to practice making them. I think it's a great skill and art to have. I think all of us should have some skills that we enjoy doing, but also try to make them complementary. And I think with flowers and working with the land and working with soil and creating something that looks just beautiful, that stirs the heart when you look at it, is always something valuable to do. Also, it's a great way of serving community and family as well, because if you have community that buy hanging baskets from you, and you can sell them to your neighbours for a much better price and made with a lot of love, and to some degree made to order. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm just suggesting that if my community see what I'm doing, they might say, can you do one for me next year? And likewise, it might even inspire them to do it or their children to do it. But the way to do that is to do it yourself first. You've got to be the change that you want to see, and that's important. But also, it's a very creative kind of skill to have. And once you start and you've got an idea, then you can play around and you can improvise and do different things. So that's my reason for wanting to create the hanging baskets. And also they look beautiful in the garden. So I was out today. Now, for those of you in the UK, I always try to get whatever I can from the best value centre. I'll try and find somewhere local first, and local but not too expensive, because there are some garden centres here in the UK that are just so expensive. There's one I love going to called Flowerland. It's so expensive, and I do buy from there occasionally. But with hanging baskets, you need lots of little plants, and so I'll try to go to B&Q, or there's a new place that's recently opened called Range. I don't know how long it's been open. I did notice today when I went in there that they seem to have absorbed the liquidation stock of Wilco's. I used to go there all the time. So that's a little tip for you. If you've got a Range anywhere near you, it would probably be in a town or city that is not so gentrified. You know what I mean. But they have great things in there, and I would much rather go there and then get the small things from the garden centres that are a little bit dearer, that you can't find somewhere where everything is standardised, which Range is. So first thing, I just want to show you that search on YouTube yesterday. I don't know what I'd do without YouTube. It's fantastic. And at Range, I bought a couple of these things here, which are slow release plant food. And I'm going to use that only for the hanging baskets, because for my fruits and vegetables, I don't use any form of chemicals. And I only fertilise with my chicken manure, and I try to keep it as natural as possible. But, these are great for hanging baskets, and I'm going to put them in. I've also bought these water-saving gels. Sometimes if you use a compost where water just flows out, these help to retain the moisture, because hanging baskets suffer from water loss. While I was there, this was only £3.50. I found this shake and rake wildflower garden seeds, and I thought, well, let me buy them and throw them into one of my beds and see what happens, and all these wildflowers will come up, hopefully. The other thing I want to share with you is, you remember those okra I had in the greenhouse? I was in the greenhouse this morning and I noticed another 2 had died. They don't like the weather. It's cold, even in the greenhouse. So I had to do some emergency measures, and I transplanted them. Luckily today is a fruit day and they are a fruit, but it was the morning, and I transplanted them into single pots and brought them into the house, and they're going to sit now on my dining table. I might put them on the windowsill later until they're much bigger, and I will not plant them out now until mid-May, when the weather's much warmer, because they are suffering. They've already perked up. The other thing I also sowed today, even though it's not a seed sowing day, but it is a fruit day, I sowed some bitter gourd. What we call, well, it's not bitter gourd, sorry, bottle gourd. She'd asked me for this lauki, which is a very cooling ingredient for the blood and great for my dad. And it's also great for diabetics. And I had bought this. Unfortunately, it is a genetically modified one, but she wanted it. This is all I could find. So I sowed some of this on the windowsill over there where the okra had started back in March. Now, I don't know whether I've left it too late, but I found a little hack online from a YouTube site that I'll share in the notes later, today or tomorrow, where here are the seeds. I'll just show you. So these are the bottle gourd seeds. These ones I've soaked, and I might sow tomorrow. But when they were dry, I just got nail clippers and I clipped the horns off at the end. Excuse my nails. I've been out in the garden, that's why they're a bit muddy. So I clipped the two, I can't show you this with one hand, but I clipped the two horns off at the end, and then I turned it around on the pointy side and clipped that off, just so that the white seed was showing underneath. And then I popped it into a kitchen towel and folded it up, put it in water, just drained out the excess water and left it on a heat mat. And in this YouTube video that I saw, the gentleman said that it would germinate in 3 or 4 days, so that would speed things up, because you really need to get it out in the garden by May, and I need it to have formed some kind of leaf structure. I also experimented and soaked a few of them last night with some Epsom salt, just a little bit, because that kind of helps to soften the casing, and also, actually, I don't know, but it also helps it germinate faster and makes it stronger. I don't know why. Do your homework. So I also sowed some of them today as well, and I'll measure to see which one is quicker, faster, and ultimately which one does best. I always like to measure my results, you know, it's very important. Now, shall we go back to what this video was about, which is the hanging basket. So let's go outside, and I'll show you what I've bought, and more importantly, the thinking behind what I'm actually doing. So let me turn this around. Right, you can see here, I have got trays of different types of flowers. You probably recognise them if you're a gardener, but I'm sure many of you will not be gardeners, because I'm not a gardener. I just enjoy gardening. And what I'm doing, as I always do, I've got this really messy piece of paper, but there is some organisation there where I made notes when I watched the video, and I took this with me to the garden centre today to see what I could find. And by the way, this is the time to go and get your hanging basket flowers, because in a month they'll be gone. They're all out now, so this is the time to go and get them. You've got to do things in a timely fashion. You know, don't sit there and I mean, we all do this and think about, I really got to do some hanging baskets this year, but I'll get round to it next week. No, I've got to do some hanging baskets. Right, I'm going to do what you need to do, then sit down. You've all got the time. It's just how you utilise the time. There's relatively few people that have got no time at all, but most of us have. It's just how you choose to spend the time. If you've got time to watch telly, you've got time. So sit down and let me just move back a bit because it's beautiful weather here. Sit down, make a list. As you start writing things down, it starts to form into some kind of reality. See, that's the thing. It's not just an idea anymore. You're mobilizing your hands and you're writing things down. So that's what I did. And then this morning I was up. I'm always up early. I'm up with the sun. I follow the circadian rhythm, as you know. And that is the single most important part of why I am sound of mind and healthy and happy. Although the happiness is not, for me, that important, but I'm just generally content in my life, even when there are challenges, if you understand what I mean there. Anyway, and I wrote it all down, and then there I was this morning, off, did some reading, and then I was off to the garden centre even before breakfast. So what I bought were the following. I'll share the video down below, but what I understood is that you have three layers in a basket, in a hanging basket. You want to get the ones with holes in. So here I bought these cheap ones. There's 3 of them there. The cheaper ones are always the better ones, and I've got some which I've been given and I've had inside my garage, and these have actually got these basket liners, cocoa basket liners. But I actually went out and bought this, some sphagnum moss, because I want to use this. This is how traditionally hanging baskets were created, and they really do well to hold in the moisture. So I got that from the video that I watched. So I don't think these will be available in a month's time. I think all the seasoned gardeners, traditional hanging basket makers, will be buying this stuff. This is all new age rubbish in my opinion, but I mean, obviously I'm going to use it. And then what I did, if you look here, there are 3 layers, and I bought some slow release fertilizer, and then I understood that on the bottom layer you want something that trails. So I bought some, I'm going to buy some variegated, what are they called? I'm learning. Creeping Jenny it's called. Lysimachia aureum. Anyway, some leafy type of plants that trail in the bottom layer, and then in the middle layer you want lots of trailing, beautiful trailing flowers. So I bought some lobelia, and I bought some petunia today as well. I also brought some trailing geraniums and trailing fuchsias. I couldn't find some of the other things that the gentleman had recommended in the video, and I guess I would find them because they're more specialist in a more expensive garden centre, like trailing nemesia and trailing verbena. I couldn't find them, and certain types of upright plants like calibroca, million bells, and some short stem geraniums like Tom Thumb ones. So those I'm going to buy tomorrow. Now the thing I wanted to point out, because I'm rambling a bit today, is that you can't do it all in one go. Go to the garden centres, go early in the morning when they open, so you don't have to deal with all the rush and the masses that all get up late because they can't wake up in the morning. Go early and take your time and look and absorb and observe, and then buy. I've already worked out the size of my baskets, how many I need per, I did that all last night, how many I need per basket, and then I wrote it down. It's never going to be exact, I'm not bothered about that, but I've got an idea. And then buy what you can get in the first sitting, come home, check it out, tick things off on your list, and then think, what do I need? Look at the colours, absorb the knowledge and information, and then go the next day or the day after. Also bear in mind that today is a fruit day, it's not a flower day. I'm thinking ahead. Flower day is this weekend, this Thursday, Friday, and there's only 2 days of flowers, or 1 day of flower day. That represents the air element, by the way. And flower represents air, fruit represents fire element, root plants represent the earth element, and the leaf plants represent water. And I want to talk about that another day, because that's very, very important to understanding health from a holistic perspective, from a systems perspective. And it's very similar to a lot of the things I learned when I was in South India at an Ayurvedic hospital during the final part of my healing from Crohn's. I learned a lot, and everything I do now I kind of relate to these 4 elements, because we are made up of those 4 elements as well. Each of us has a kind of different constitution, but you know, I'm digressing and going on to something else. So do things in different. By the time I've had a cup of tea this afternoon, checked off what I've got, looked at all the baskets, thought about who's going to get what, looked at the colours, then I'll be able to write down what is left that I need to buy, where I'll get it from, and you're so much more organised in your mind. That's how to do things. You don't have to be an expert to do this. You just need to be somebody who knows how to organise himself or herself. That's it. That's what makes you an expert. Understand how organise yourself and plan things and treat everything like it's some kind of a system in place. And when you understand how you do things, I work like this in every way in my life, and it just seems to flow. And when a challenge comes along, I see it as a disturbance in my system, and I think, okay, what do I need to do to change that? What result do I want to see? What's the goal I want at the end of that? What can I do to change it? I'm always thinking in that way, and I've only begun to think like this in the last 4, 5, 6 years. But I've been aware of this for many, many years after listening to a story about McDonald's. This is at 20 years ago, and how they are so successful as a company, and it's got nothing to do with burgers, and it's got everything to do with the system. Unfortunately, their success is built on the demise of the working man and the human being, because they're killing us in order to gain profit and power and control. So but if you understand how their system works and how the actual mechanics of that system works, you can use it in your own life to your own benefit and to the benefit of all those around you. So that's what I'll be talking about with you over time. For now, just take a quick look and doesn't it look lovely? I mean, I know there's not much there yet, but it's sunny today. The grass is so green, and I'm filling up the little spaces and the gaps, and it is going to come alive this summer if things go as planned. Have a lovely day.